My name's Dan Parnell. I'm a farm consultant based in Bunbury in the southwest of Western Australia. I have a predominantly agronomy background, but more recently I've moved into looking at farm business performance, in particular benchmarking farm businesses and what makes those farm businesses tick. Obviously a farm that's in a strong financial position is more resilient to shocks in agriculture, like seasonal factors like drought and or market shocks. So it's important that farms measure their financial resilience with obviously things like profit and return on asset, but there's also efficiency measures that they can also use, like cost of production, which helps farmers measure how efficient they are at utilising the resources they have on farm. On the MLA website, there's a cost of production calculator on there that's very easy to use. It does need some information from, say, your accountant to feed into that tool, but it's a very good way to make a start on developing your cost of production, and it enables you to start benchmarking your own business moving forward. So it's important to do that every year and revisit that cost of production and see how efficient you are utilising your resources. Benchmarking has shown that the most profitable farms, the top 20% of profitable farms, have a lower cost of production and consistently lower cost of production, and in that they're able to reduce a kilogram of that commodity at a lower cost than their peers. So when we hear cost of production, the automatic reaction is to cut costs, and that can be an option in some instances, but also if we increase our production, our productivity, we can dilute a lot of our overhead costs or fixed costs. So in that cost production, how do we measure how productive we are? So there's some physical measurements that we can make, and the first one probably to start with is your annualised stocking rate, and that's usually measured with a DSE, per hectare rating, on an annual basis. So there's a couple of tools online that you can use, or there's book values that you can use for that. So again, pick one that you can use, you're comfortable with using. They're quite simple tools, and stick with that, and so you can work out, my DSE is at a level that's, in the district sort of average, or is not, increasing your cost by being underperforming. And another physical measure that you can make is the kilograms of product that you produce per hectare. So it's another physical benchmark that you can use. So again, one step on the way to determining your cost of production, you have to work out that figure. So it's another good physical measure that you can make on the farm. And again, the benchmarking has shown that the top 20% of profitable farms have higher productivity in terms of kilograms of live weight per hectare they sell. They have higher annualised stocking rate, and that in turn drives a lower cost of production. And when we say increasing productivity or optimising your stocking rate, it doesn't mean we flog the farm. It means that we run that optimised stocking rate utilising low cost of feed, and it usually comes down to pasture. And so that's another measure we can make, is also trying to measure our pasture harvest. So, if you're running reasonably solid stocking rates, that they are eating cheap sources of feed and we're not relying on expensive supplementary feeding. So that's another important consideration. And you also want to work within your environmental constraints. We want to leave residual pasture there over the summer to look after, say, prevent erosion, for example. So we still want to work within some parameters there, but we know that there's plenty of upside in terms of utilisation of pastures in the high rainfall areas. When measuring our financial performance and some of the physical measurements that we can make, it gives us a really good feedback loop in terms of if we change some management decisions in our business. So if we change something, and there's lots of things we can, an input, for example, fertiliser, lime, there's a few that we can choose, or a management thing like calving date. When we're measuring more, we get a feedback loop to determine if that's a good decision or not. One good thing about the cost of production, it does capture things like depreciation and labour, particularly owner-operator labour. Those costs are often hidden costs or forgotten about in a farm profit loss sort of analysis. So that's really important when we're doing the cost of production. So getting a good feel for depreciation, can get that from your accountant, and valuing individual farmers' time. You know, it's really important because often farmers are very good at giving away their time and not costing it accordingly to the business. Each farming business has different financial goals or financial needs. You know, often we're all at different stages of our lives in terms of our career. So farmers will vary in terms of the drivers that drive some of these decisions. So that's an important consideration. So, but I think to have a resilient business moving forward and looking after the asset that often we live on, it's important to put systems in place that measure farm financial performance and farm physical performance.